Assalamu alaikum. I would like to submit my heartfelt honor to the president of this very meeting, come superintendent of the madrasa, Janab Abdullah Dud Sahab. I would like to submit my hearty reverence to the teachers of this madrasa and my keen love and affection to my dear students present today, to abide by the order of the president of this meeting. I would like to submit few words regarding independence of India. And on this very occasion, our teachers, Janab Dawlat Hussain Sahab, Janab Abdul Hafiz Sahab, expressed much about the independence of India and almost covered from the beginning to the end of this independence, I mean the British rule in India. I have collected some data on particular angle of independence in India, which are not so available everywhere. I took a hard labor last night and collected some data which pressed me much to know about the independence, to know about the motherland. And I became astonished looking at the pictures, looking at the movements in which particularly Muslims sacrificed their lives. Really, it affected me. And today, whenever I feel and I think of the various incidents occurred to get our motherland free from the grasp of British, I feel surprised. How we have got our country captured by ourselves is very pathetic. Indian people of that period did not make our motherland ours by laughing and enjoying with the British, but by fighting and donating blood like rivers. They got our India in ourselves. All this data which I have collected is not possible to submit here. It may take a long time. So I would like to submit very little of, few points regarding this independence, and I think you should collect this. It will help you one day. Particularly how Muslims, that is, it is exceptional. In the history, we don't find much the names of Muslims. In our history, we get this Bhagavat Singh, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. These are famous names, and from the childhood we have learned these names. Whenever we remember the names of historians or fighters for freedom of India. In Islamic books, which one is written Tariqul Hind by Shaukat Ali Fahmi. It's an Urdu book. In this book, Shaukat Ali Fahmi at the very beginning wrote a lot of names of Muslim freedom fighters. Actually, it's an article I have made to give in a particular magazine. Last night, I have collected this and I have made it also in the last night. And if you bear the problem, or it may be boring, some to all of you may not understand everything, but try to understand, you will know something. The freedom movement of India was not the sole agenda of a particular political party. That is, at that time, political party was involved in removing the British from our country. but it had moved Aam Admi in the form of masses in her own capacity. The history of Indian national movement would be biased and incomplete without the presentation of the actual role of Muslims in India in it, right from the revolt of 1857 to the day of independence in 1947. Shoulder to shoulder, they fought with the other communities for the independence of India. The contribution of Muslim poets, revolutionaries, and writers is not known today. Instead of secular historiography, it has been communalized. The Muslims and other minorities never emphasized India as adopted land because Muslims of India have not come from outside but are the converts to Islam and have deep feeling sense of belonging to this country and therefore contributed the cultural, economic, intellectual and spiritual progress throughout the ages. The role, significance and uprising of Indians against British imperialists can be seen since mid of 18th century in the form of Battle of Plassey, June 23, 1757. It was Nawab Sirajuddaulah who first awakened Indian rulers and gave a call to oppose the British. He, however, lost the battle and was executed at the young age of 24. This was soon followed by the great Tipu Sultan, who was killed by Lord Wellesley during the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. The contribution of Muslim revolutionaries can be witnessed from the first half of 19th century. The Faraizi and the Wahhabi movements had disturbed the pace of British plan in the initial stages of its expansion in India. The Wahhabi movement of Sayyid Ahmed Berelui was the most organized one. He appealed to all Hindus and Muslims to overthrow the British and thus he was killed in 1831 at Balakot. The number of Muslims executed only in Delhi during 1857-58 was 27,000, only Muslims. During this revolt, Agari Begum, mother of Qazi Abdur Rahim, the revolutionary of Tanabhavan, Muzaffarnagar, fought against the British and was burnt alive when defeated. It was estimated that about 225 Muslim women gave their lives in the revolt. Similarly, barely is known about the contribution of Muhammad Ashfaq Ullah Khan of Shahjahanpur, who conspired and looted the British treasury at Kakori, presently Lucknow, to cripple the administration and who, when asked for his last will before execution, desired, no desire is left except one, that someone may put a little soil of my motherland in my winding sheet. Likewise, the present generation does not know about Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a great nationalist who had passed 45 years of his 95 years of life in jail for the freedom of India and thus awarded Bharat Ratna in 1987. Barkatullah and Sayyid Rahmat Shah and Shah of Gaddar party sacrificed their lives. Umar Subhani, an industrialist and a millionaire of Bombay, who then presented a blank check to Gandhiji for Congress expenses and who ultimately sacrificed his life for the cause of independence. Maulana Hasrat Mahawi, with his poetry, infused the zeal of freedom in young hearts. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, at the age of 35, became the youngest person to serve as the president of the Indian National Congress. He was the icon of Hindu-Muslim unity as well as espousing secularism and socialism. Rajmohan Gandhi, in his book Understanding Muslim Minds, mentioned that Maulana went straight to Congress office just after the funeral procession of his wife, Zulaikha Begum, and led Quit India movement. Muhammad Kaur, in her book entitled as Women in India's Freedom Movement, makes a reference to only Begum Hazrat Mahil and by Amma out of the hundreds of women who fought the battle of freedom along with their menfolk against the British Raj. The history of the Indian national movement would be incomplete without mentioning the heartily services of Abadi Begum, mother of Maulana Muhammad Ali, Azmadi Begum, wife of Maulana Muhammad Ali, Amina Tabzi, wife of Abbas Tabzi, Begum Sakina Lukman, wife of Dr. Lukman and daughter of Badruddin. Nishatun Nisa Begum Hazrat Mohani, Sadat Banu Kichliu, wife of Dr. Saifuddin Kichliu. Julekha Begum, wife of Maulana Azad. Meher Taj, daughter of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Jubaida Begum Daudi, wife of Shafi Daudi, the reputed nationalist of Bihar, and many others. All these are women names, how women fought for the country. Sentimoy Array, freedom movement and Indian Muslims challenges the many prejudices that generate bias and hatred against the Indian Muslims, particularly their contentions role in Indian freedom movement. This shows the great sacrifices they made to oust the British rule in all the national uprisings from Shamshi movement to independence. Sannyasi movement to independence finally led to the withdrawal of British from India in 15th of August 1947. It is such a pity that their roles in the struggle for freedom has not been adequately presented in the Indian history. The comprehensive study about the role of Muslim struggle for freedom is essential to help eradicating prejudices and many misconceptions against the Muslim grown in the absence of fair historiography. I am recalling some of the beautiful lines of Faiz Ahmad Faiz. ये दाग दाग उजाला ये सब गजीदा सहर, वो इंतज़ार था जिसका ये वो सहर तो नहीं, ये वो सहर तो नहीं जिसकी आरज़ू लेकर चले थे यार के मिल जाए कहीं ना कहीं फलक से दास्त में तारों की आखिरी मंजिल, कहीं तो होगा शबे उस्त मौजा का शील, कहीं तो जाके रुकेगा सफ़ीना गम दिल. So this type of so many poems were made at that time to influence Indian people to fight against British so that we may get our country fully independent. But most pathetic it is to mention that in the history we are lacking names of Muslims, and I do like to request here all the teachers and present students and those who can hear me to recite some names of Muslims in freedom fighting in India so that this community may be upright and this community may understand the love of country, love for motherland. Thanking all of you, I do finish my speech here. If there's any mistake, pardon me.